This is Gemini with RenegadeRadio.net, and welcome to RenegadeRadio.net interviews. We hope everyone is staying safe and healthy out there. We recently had a nice chat with the bald guy with the bow tie, or better known to us music fans as the lead singer of Memory of a Melody, Mr. Mario Galdos. You heard that correctly, everyone. The black hole in the music world has been filled. Memory of a Melody is back with the original lineup and a brand new 3-song EP entitled Burn Alive. Here is all the latest and greatest news with the MOAM kids and some stories behind the music. Have a listen. Do tell about your project. I see Memory of a Melody has returned.
Yeah, so we are back in action. Honestly, there was, we kind of got to that point years ago where we knew we needed to make a decision and either go all in at the time, which meant, go, perform whatever 300 days a year and do the touring life. I think at
Mm-hmm.
the time I was at a crossroads because I was having another son,
Mm-hmm.
and had been building a business for probably already, 8 9 years, and just had to make a decision. I had to make a decision as to I wanted to keep continuing with it. Did I want to tour? I remember seeing another artist post something saying, "Hey, one of the things that I'm grateful for about the band that I'm in is that we've accomplished our goals. We've got great fans. Just love everything. But really, when you break it down, it makes me also super sad because I was not there for the birth of my son, not there for his first birthday, for his second birthday. I had to go back on tour the day after my wedding, and it kind of
Mm-hmm.
hit home. And so at the same time, we were we were also faced with like we started getting some interest from some different people saying, hey, we're gonna help you, but we want to take 75% of your project. And I'm like, I'm like, I'm not
No.
down with that. I'm
I'm
like, I'm
glad
not
you
down
said
with
no
that.
to that.
Yeah.
Very
So
glad.
yeah, and I mean, honestly, just kind of hindsight's 2020, but of course, looking back, that would not have been a great opportunity for us, just because I followed what happened with that group there. So anyway, just kind of one
Mm-hmm.
of those things where I all those things combined finally led me to think, hey, this is not what I need to do for this second. I need to put it on pause and maybe get to the point where we're building resources up enough to where the day that we do come back, we're able to self fund this and not have to worry about anybody else
Yeah,
ever wanting to take a
exactly.
part of it. So
Mm-hmm. There you
just made
go.
sense, just made logical sense.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly. I mean, typically when you're independently funded like that, you don't have to worry about squat. It's all you have full control over it, which is the beauty of not having a record label or
exactly.
any other be a part of any other music group or have anybody else's money tied into it, which is nice.
Right. Right. Exactly. So that's what we did, and built up my professional career a little bit more. We had our first son Triton had Atlas 3 years later. Anyway, and so lo and behold, I started diving into work even more just to make sure that we were on track for all the family financials and everything.
Uh
And
huh.
I hit this crossroads where I started diving into, again, just a little bit more on the business side of things, for my professional life here, like for mortgage lending. And
Uh huh.
there was a piece of it that I just, when I started diving into, was not making me happy. Like, I was very unhappy, very, very unhappy. And so, long
It
story
sounded
short,
like you were really good at your job, but of course you just
yeah,
it didn't make you happy.
yeah. So, I mean, at least this one piece I dove into, which was a relationship that was very, very demanding.
Mm-hmm.
Demanded a lot of my time away from the family. Kind of was just
Mm-hmm.
like always on call. And when it really came down to it, I'm like, this is not making me happy. So I ended up getting fired from that relationship,
Oh
and it
wow.
kind of just spawned something inside of me where. Um, leading up to it, I went to for Steph and I's, my wife Steph and I's, 6-year anniversary. Went to a Comic Con, followed by going to see the movie Bohemian Rhapsody in the
Nice.
theater. So that was cool. And I got so inspired, and just kind of like, hey, I need to be writing music. So I get home, and all of a sudden I see a post on Facebook with where Roel, our guitarist from Memory of Melody,
Mm-hmm.
says, "Hey, he's playing a little guitar line, and he says, tag you're it." And tagged me and everybody in the band, and I'm like, wow, that's wild. I'm like, just is literally minutes from getting home, just kind of got on Facebook for a second, and then all of a sudden I keep scrolling and I see that Wade had taken that same guitar line that Roel did and added his own guitar line to it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just insane to me. And so from there, I took it, I kind of just downloaded it on my phone. I chopped it up in a little editing software that I have, and that little thing there is what became the song "Burn Alive," which is
Nice.
the name of the EP that we just released. So
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of poetic, just the way it all worked out, and so it started really kind of committing some time back to looking at how, just looking at statistics, looking at where the following is, and seeing that the following was still a following. we
Mm-hmm.
um we went back to the studio, finished up a song we had started, really probably 5 6 years before, which is the song "Merry-Go-Round."
Uh-huh.
So we had actually started that. Brian Scott produced the drums and the rhythm guitars on that one, and then we went and saw our good friend Todd slash or AKA Taz
Ah,
Osterhaus.
Taz. How
Good
is
old
Mr.
Taz.
Osterhaus?
He is good. He is doing real good. He is, definitely doing some tracking for some bands. I think that's probably kind of on a little bit of a pause with everything happening in the
Mm-hmm.
in the world, but he's still got his side project Angels in Vain, which I know he's doing some tracking for that. I know he's been to Vegas a few times just to kind of meet up with those guys, but he's doing great. He's doing great. We actually got to spend some time together a couple weeks ago, and so he's Blue Ocean Music Studios. Is
Nice.
the name of his thing, and so he definitely had a huge part, production
Mm-hmm.
and just engineering wise on the EP. And so yeah. Long story short, it made too much sense for us to not do it anymore. Like that was really what it came down to. I was like, hey, this is. I think what I really broke down was the fact that I'm not dead, obviously,
I'm
and
not
so
dead
if I'm not,
either.
I'm not dead. So hey, why not write music? If I'm still alive and I'm breathing, there's just no reason to not make music. And so there's the story.
There you go. Amen to that. He's not yet dead.
I am not dead,
Actually.
therefore let us write more music.
Indeed. Cue the Monty Python music. Well,
Boom.
good. Glad you decided to start writing because there has just been a big hole since you guys went on hiatus. Things have not been the same.
Right.
We've
Yeah.
definitely missed you guys and are extremely happy you're back. And so, of course, I say this is one small step for man. When's the giant leap for mankind coming?
Uh, the giant leap for mankind. So, I mean, the goal is, I think right now where we're going is, we honestly had a couple music videos planned for this weekend. Literally this weekend, the band was
Mm-hmm.
coming down. We're gonna do photo shoots and music videos. Unfortunately, traveling is not something on the list of being acceptable right now.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. There's a few
um,
states borders that have decided to have checkpoints and all kinds
yeah,
of things.
yep. So
Mm-hmm.
we are quarantining right now.
Good.
Actually, one of the to kind of mention the actress that was going to be a part of one of the music videos actually got stuck in California
Oh no.
and got diagnosed with the COVID, so that's kind of
Oh
been
no. Oh
that was a whole,
jeez.
yeah, it's kind of a bummer, but so luckily we're all safe, but so the plan is release a couple music videos, play, at least one or two shows. We'll see kind of how everything shakes out as the year progresses, just with events and whatnot, but the goal is to play some shows, maybe get some live footage and release a little bit of that, from whenever we do play those shows. I know we have some B side and rarity tracks that most folks, maybe have heard if they've followed us long enough. But we
Mm-hmm.
thought about re-releasing a couple of those, releasing, possibly even, I think we're looking at doing a remake of a song. So
Oh.
working on that, and then ultimately just to keep writing. So for right now, no immediate plan of saying, hey, we're going to release a whole album in the
Mm-hmm.
coming year. Like there's no discussion of that right now. I think the idea was, let's get it out there, let's get some new music out there, let's get some folks excited, let's get some
Yeah.
momentum going, and then we'll kind of revisit the idea of releasing, a full length album, and then really hitting it hard after that. So right
Okay.
now, this is what we're rocking. So
Nice. Yes, and I like what you're rocking right now. In
thank you,
particular,
thank you, thank
it's
you.
merry-go-round is a bit sadistic, kind of reminiscent, of course, of a lot of the previous stuff from things that make you scream.
Yeah,
And I like that a lot. It kind of goes with the whole murderous vibe and the whole Clue thing. Of
right.
it was the maid in the parlor with a candlestick type thing.
Boom. There you go. Except that maid's taking your soul in the
Yes,
process.
exactly. She's taking your soul. So, of course, do tell a little bit more of the story behind said merry-go-round. It's just so, ooh wee, wickedness.
Wicked. So reality is that, again, we started this song 5 6 years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
when we first came out with the idea, really it was the music, and then I was like, it'd be cool is to write a story about a girl who is just, evil, and but tie it into having some nursery rhyme theme. Like I was very
Mm-hmm.
inspired years ago by, by Korn's release of Shoots and Ladders. That's, I believe, the first single they ever came out with, which had some of those nursery rhyme elements. And
Mm-hmm.
I just remember the way it made me feel was like, gosh, I love when a song just brings you back to a moment
Mm-hmm.
of something maybe from your childhood. And so
Exactly.
incorporated several of those things. We put a pause on it, so I'd written most of the lyrics for the chorus, and for some of the bridge parts, and then whenever we came back to it, a couple years, this is probably a couple years ago now. I went straight for those verses and wanted to really make it feel like almost like just a nostalgia of all those nursery rhymes, bring some of those elements into it, and then
Mm-hmm.
write a story about a girl who's taking souls.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so
I
yeah,
smell a theme for an album there. I mean,
there
you
you
could
go.
you could and of course incorporate not just the nursery rhymes, but a lot of the uh, stories, all of the old school folk stories, because of course
Yeah,
the Disney-fied stories and whatnot aren't actually kid stories. Snow White
right,
and the Seven Dwarves, and then Sleeping Beauty, and
right,
they're very evil, twisted things. Brothers
right,
Grimm stuff all over again.
right, right. That's what's neat about it, is that you can kind of kidify something, but
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing like a great story, and that's honestly the thing about what I learned in my own writing style was that, I take little bits and pieces of my own life, but I write stories around maybe just one small element of what it made me feel, and I exaggerate it to the point of, how would this make me feel if this had just been a horrible scenario, or what does that make me feel like
Mm-hmm.
internally or emotionally, and that's,
Mm-hmm.
going back to the song "Things That Make You Scream," that's what that was,
Yep.
or "Ultraviolence." They're all
Mm-hmm.
stories. They're stories that I wrote about, different characters, and maybe taking an element of a feeling that I've had inside as the lyricist for the band, but also just magnifying that to a umpteenth degree and saying
Mm-hmm.
this is a whole thing, you know. So
Nice. Yes, please
yeah,
tell us more stories.
more stories. I will
of a
tell you. I'll
wicked
tell you.
Santa.
We, yeah, we. I don't know if I ever shared that one with you, but when writing the song "Till Death Do Us Part" about off things that make you scream, that was literally written about my now wife Stephanie.
Oh.
You know, and her. I basically took, you know, the feeling that I would have if she ever was out of my life, and really more so saying if something happened to her and she was no longer with us in the world, how that would make me feel. And so I went into going crazy because I figured I would go
Mm-hmm.
crazy and I would want to resurrect her body and
Mm-hmm.
just like live with her body. So I
Ooh.
actually read all these stories about people who have done that in the past, and you know, it's just kind of wild. It was very wild, you know,
Crazy.
some of the things that I
Yeah.
read.
Ooh, wow.
But yeah, so
Man.
that's if you listen carefully to the lyrics on that one,
I
that's what
will
that one's about.
definitely have to get now. I just see learning things like this gives you whole new perspectives behind
Oh yeah.
songs. Most definitely. So let's take a stab at Rise Up. Do tell a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that one's actually not as you know, it's a little more straightforward, I should say, more than anything. Rise Up is was a song that more Wade influenced. You know, Wade and I definitely like collaborating a lot with when writing the music for any of the songs that we have, and of course Roel and the rest of the guys. But Wade and I actually sat down on this one. This is when we came down to work on the song "Burn Alive," and we talked about, hey, we should write something fun. We should write some sort of a maybe a maybe some sort of a like a party rock song, like 80s inspired, has some of that Motley Crue influence. And
There
so
you
that was
go.
really pretty interesting because we went from talking about, hey, we should do something like that, to like I'm literally telling you, within 30 minutes we had almost the entire structure and song for Rise Up, for what you
Hey.
hear there. And I remember we were it was pretty late. It was probably like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, getting to that really late part of delirium. We may or may have not have had a couple cocktails at the time. And so you know, literally came up with the line, "Don't give up, let's get up, stay up, rise up, up, up." And you know, it was kind of just took off from there. We went back actually into the studio the very next day, and literally laid down that guitar riff along with the all the some of the melodies, and that one kind of just took shape. So that song specifically is a crowd song. We definitely wrote it with the intentions of it being a very powerful live song. You know, something to make people have some fun with it, have a good time with it, get you know, just get down. And it's kind of like we're making love to the crowd. That's what
There
that
you
is. It's
go. There you
that's
go.
the whole intention of that song. So
Oh, fun times.
good
Yay. We'll
times.
do continue to write more music and tell more stories, you know,
Thank you.
sadistic and otherwise, because we love your stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know, I mean, I mean, even getting to Burn Alive, I told you how we
Mhm.
kind of got there, but Burn Alive was, I think we were very excited about getting back together as a band, and again, being influenced by the movie Bohemian Rhapsody. That
Oh,
was something
yes. That is
that
such a
was
great movie. It really
really
is.
was. Yeah,
The
it really
the
is.
main actor who portrayed Eddie Murphy he got him to a T. I mean, he played
Absolutely
him perfectly. It was
right.
just it gave me goosebumps when I saw that movie. It was so good.
It's incredible. I mean, literally, that's exactly how we felt about it when I was watching it in the theater. I had some man tear moments where I'm like,
Oh.
this is silly that I'm not writing music. And so that's what the song "Burn Alive's" about. It's literally about telling everybody, or telling the band. It's like a conversation I'm having with the band to tell them I would rather burn alive than never write music with you guys again. So There you
Yeah,
go.
please don't, spontaneously combust or anything.
Yes.
We
Boom.
need you to write more
As
music. Just do
with
it.
all the morbid Mario thoughts, that's there you go. I mean,
Hey, you're a
just
horror
just
movie
blow up.
fan, so just
There you
go
go.
with
It's
it.
true. It's
Go with
true.
it. You can
It's
be on
true.
the same vein as, maybe Rob Zombie or Ozzy Osbourne,
There
just
you go.
about life, but the darker side of it.
The darker side of life.
Dun,
I like
dun,
that. So
dun.
that's another album right there.
There you
Darker
go.
Side of Life. Boom. Make it happen. Rock album.
And always look on the right side of life.
There you go. You've got it.
Yet.
You've got it. You've heard.
He
You've
says
got it.
he's not yet dead.
Oh my gosh.
There can be a track on that particular the dark
There you
side
go.
of life. He's not yet
The-
dead.
He's not yet dead. I'll let Wade do all the voiceover parts there because he's got all those accents down. That guy's crazy. We do this interview on Friday night this past week, and he is now Wild Wade.
Nice.
We went from being Wade. One point, I think his nickname was Wade Wonder. Now it's Wild Wade. So he's got the accent. He's basically the modern day Macho Man Randy Savage. So you guys are crazy.
Lord. Oh,
Love
good
it.
Lord. Well, it'll be fun to see you guys up on stage once again, reprising all
Absolutely.
of your roles.
For
and,
sure.
Singing and playing your hearts out once again.
Absolutely.
Oh, please
Absolutely.
keep us posted on all things Memory of a Melody. And, of course, the phone lines are always open. Let's not wait until, 5 years until I hear from you.
Absolutely. No, I mean, well, I'm here anytime, and definitely always love my my peeps at renegaderadio.net.
Yes, of course.
And
We love you.
appreciate
too.
you and Iceberg and everybody just for all the support and the love. I mean, that was great, just kind of getting back into it. One of the first messages I got was from y'all. So made me feel super loved and happy. And
good.
Anyway, we're excited to be a part of it.
And that was the recent interview with the bald guy with a bow tie, Mr. Mario Galdos of Memory of a Melody. And there was much rejoicing, and the peasants danced. Special thanks to Mario for taking time out of his day to chat with us. We are so happy the MOAM kids are back in action. Burn Alive is available on all major digital outlets, so go buy it. Also, give the guys a like on their Facebook page, facebook.com/memoryofamelody. Stay tuned to renegaderadio.net for all the latest and greatest band news. And you may even see an MOAM review to be posted soon. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day. Rock on and check out all the great interviews right here on renegaderadio.net. Until the next interview.